Well, can you believe it's been a year at New Venture?
I can, but I can't.
Time has flown by.
Time does fly when you're having a good time, and
Indeed.
it's been. I mean, I thought you made an excellent decision.
Well, I support that in you doing the same. So thank you for joining me.
It was an easy decision to make. I mean, I the whole reason for making a career shift was to align with you,
Well, I
and
appreciate that.
so naturally, going from where we were to where we are now, uh, easiest decision I ever had to make. And by the way, best decision because it got so much better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, it's been a lot of growth, a lot of positive change, and a lot of forward momentum this last 12 months. And I just want to connect with you because, obviously you came from the lending background, and we've known each other for quite a long time.
A very long time.
And how do you feel? How did you feel about making that transition? I know it was kind of nerve-wracking for you.
Yeah, it's funny when you first called me. I remember I don't know why this sticks out to me, and I tell people all the time. I remember telling you, I said, I think you want somebody who would want this job. And and it was so funny because I think that in business, when you're in a lane for so long,
Yeah,
you can become very accustomed to the comfort of being out of the building stages and more in the management stages.
totally.
And what I didn't realize at this stage in my life, what I didn't think I wanted was to not necessarily start all over again, but start something new. Starting something new is the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the thing I didn't know I needed because I have an excitement and I have a drive behind what I do and how I do it and innovating what I do that I kind of didn't really have to the degree I have now because
Yeah.
it's new, it's fresh, but it's something that I think is such a better fit for me.
Oh, it's funny too because one of my favorite parts of our conversation before we joined forces, you had talked with a mutual friend of ours, and basically had told them, "I'm good."
Yeah.
And it took me a minute. Initially I was like, "Okay, that's fine," but I was like, "I'm gonna pick up the phone and call him myself." And sometimes, like you alluded to, you don't know what you don't know,
Very true.
and to kind of pour over your concerns and share what the trajectory was for what our plan was in the future. um, it was a fun conversation because I started to see well, wait a minute, let me think about this. So here we are 12 months later, like how do you compare?
It's a great question, and I'll try to give you the short answer because there's so much mixed emotions, and there's so many. I loved what I did for so long, and
Yeah.
my career in mortgage was so many different jobs. I started as an assistant, then I became a social media support person, then I became a graphic designer, then I became a videographer, then I became a video producer and editor, then I became an outside sales rep, then I wound up actually managing and building a marketing department for the mortgage company I was working for, and then switched into outside sales, which is what I was doing when we joined forces. So
Show
it,
that short answer is coming.
I know this. I'm so sorry. It's the Italian in me. So, but no. So it's hard to say going from one to another is very definitive because it's not. It was a very interesting up and down. What is different is I feel like, and I was told this by one of the brokers that we had as a mutual client who I trusted. When I asked him, I said, "Okay, I know somebody will tell me what I should do. Should I do this?" And he said to me, I think you'd be a fool not to. And he goes, I've worked with you for years. I know your skill set. You'll have so much more control in the escrow side of sales than you do in the mortgage side. And anybody that's done sales in our industry or works in our industry knows there is more control
Right.
from an escrow perspective. So what is so different at landing the plane is I feel like I have such a better vantage point in building and in managing and in seizing opportunity in this role as opposed to my previous role.
And I see that 100%. And I think one of my driving factors in making that phone call to you after our mutual friend said he's good was I just felt you were made for this role. Like I see
Thank you.
the relationships, your ability to maintain, grow, and connect with people is so dynamic, and it's something that I felt kind of deep. It's one of those like soul moving moments where I was like, I don't know. I think this is a really good fit for him, and it's obviously your choice to agree or disagree. But I was like, I'm gonna just reach out.
Well,
I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did.
I am glad he did too. No, it's funny because one of the struggles I had when I was a mortgage sales rep was so many clients that were so loyal and loved me and I supported in so many ways. The buyer was really the one that had the choice. And in escrow, sometimes things happen,
Right.
but it's a lot less of that. And so they would say, and in fact, it's funny because I reconnected with a lot of realtors that I stopped working with in mortgage because they just felt bad. Because they're like, he does so much, and my buyer decided to go with Wells Fargo. Where here in this role, they have more of a say and they have more control.
Right.
And so it really it revitalized a lot of relationships that had dwindled over the years. And so that was really exciting. And then also, and I don't say this because you're sitting in the room, I promise you all have heard me say this out in the field. And this spoke to the person that I worked for previously in the last decade in mortgages. You have to represent somebody that can deliver. You can't just become a rep for anybody. It's got to be somebody. If I'm out there working hard and I'm building these relationships, I got to align myself. I always jokingly say the vacuum sales guy. If I'm going door to door selling the vacuum, everybody likes me and I do a great job selling it, but then it stops working after 2 uses. Word's going to spread pretty quickly in the neighborhood. And they're going, hey, I really like that James guy, but that vacuum, I don't know. I don't know too much. I don't know how that's going to go. So aligning with you was what made it happen. I would never have made the switch had it not been because of the opportunity with somebody of your experience, skill set, talent, and the exceptional service that you deliver.
Well, it means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And having been a veteran out here for 20,
Yeah, how long?
it'll be 25 years. Actually, yeah, 25 years this September. 25. It's a long time, but I'm just reinvigorated for, the change that we've made here. Partnering up with you has really reignited my passion for what I do and for who we do it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that.
I think that one of the things that I really liked about the move to New Venture is I've always worked for companies that have the big company backing, but the mid-sized company feel. Where, when I started in the mortgage industry, I worked for a startup company that was long-standing in Oregon, but starting out in California. I knew the CEO, I knew the CFO, I knew the director of, I was intimately involved and connected with these people. Right. And then as the company got sold and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, I lost that connection. And coming here to New Venture, I have that again for the first time in a very long time.
Absolutely.
And it makes a huge difference.
I made the change too. I just having that connection with the leadership team and being integral in the direction of our growth, having a voice is so important. So being able to do that on your side and on my side.
Well, and I think what else is really cool, if we may toot our own horns, is coming to the company and bringing a different perspective to what they're accustomed to, and them being open to learning about what we do and what makes us successful, I think speaks to the company's desire to grow, to evolve, to learn. I mean, it doesn't mean they have to take everything that we do, but it is a compliment when they go, do you mind if we pick your brains about what exactly it is? And so I think that speaks to their desire to learn and grow from people that are doing kind of the stuff that they'd like to see other people do.
And what I like about this culture here at New Venture too is it's a two-way street where you're being exposed to sales reps and different sales strategies. I'm being exposed to different markets and escrow officers who have their own style of doing things, and we can all pick each other's brains. It's such a collaborative environment. It's not so isolated and stuck in a rigid kind of format. Yeah. Which is what I've been used to in my career. So, yeah, there's just a lot more breathing room, which inspires me, inspires you. I feel like, in the last year, I think we both have kind of revisited a lot of things and just been like, well, it seems there's a better way, and like, how do we find that path? So.
Absolutely. Well, and I think when you surround yourself with people that challenge what you think you can and cannot do, I think that's when, it's like that meme you see where it's the circle and your comfort zone and where you grow. It's, well, when we
Right.
came here, there was like 6 people outside of the bubble. And I was like, well, how are they doing this? And how are they doing that? And I think the other thing I really, really like about, for me particularly, the sales reps that have been here since the company began and set expectation for me to produce a lot more revenue is they're so willing to share. And I've always been one of those people where in sales environments, you get a lot of people that the scarcity, yeah, well, this is my idea and this is mine. And it's funny because like the market update videos, I wanted to do those at our previous company. I just didn't have anybody to connect the missing piece. And then somebody introduced me, one of the reps introduced me to a graphic that she made. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the media guy, Brandon, was like, oh, I can show you how to do the green screen on Instagram. And it's like those 2 pieces was what was stopping me from, but when you align yourself with a company that invests in a media person, graphic, things like that, it's like, oh, that's what I needed.
Right.
And so the support is exceptional. Synergy is key.
One of my favorite quotes is, "A rising tide lifts all ships." And you talk about sharing, and helping everyone. It's part of the culture here. I absolutely love it. Same thing with the other escrow officers and managers in this office.
I was going to say, have they tapped into you for
totally, and vice versa? We've had collaborative discussions on documents or process, and it's a fun thing to just be able to share and collect information from other people who might be doing something a different way. I always take kind of a stock of how things have gone the last 12 months at the new year. And I just went through that process, and I'm always evolving the escrow process. I think that's kind of how we stay ahead of the curves. We don't get stuck in a very rigid process because technology changes, the contract changes, our clients are changing, how they do business is changing. So just being able to tap into all of those avenues of, what works here might not work there, and how do we fine tune it together? It's fun. It's a fun space to be in.
It is a fun space to be in. I agree with you. And let me ask you this, from an escrow officer's standpoint, and I joke all the time, when I first started going out on the weekends as an escrow sales rep, I was scared out of my mind because you don't really know what to talk about, right? As a mortgage person, you talk about rate, product, there's different things. What would you say has changed the most in the last, it doesn't have to be dramatic change, but what would you say has changed the most in the last year, or any changes that have taken place in the last year that you've seen over the years you've done this? Yeah.
I've really had to start from scratch, which, the process is the same. You get a contract, you open escrow, you proceed through the process. But how I've gone through those things, starting from scratch and basically learning a new software has really been eye-opening in a positive way because, as much as I try to evolve the process every year, there's still kind of fundamental things that maybe I wasn't looking at as closely, and as far as like how to do things. And all it has done in the last 12 months is expedited our process. So some things I'm super proud of are, typically there are escrow companies who will get escrow instructions out the next day after the deposit comes in. We've been able to expedite that a full 24 hours sooner. So the deposit comes in, escrow instructions are out same day.
Wow.
Same thing with closings. Closings typically dispersed next business day. When the stars align, recording confirmation comes in before cutoff, and I get the wire before our cutoff, we're dispersing same day too. So it's just elevating the client experience just through kind of micromanaging our own internal processes and me having the bandwidth to evaluate that. So, it's not revolutionary. It's not, groundbreaking or, earth-shaking changes, but they're noticeable. Our clients are raving about that, and they keep coming back. So,
well, and as somebody who gets to be the recipient of a lot of the positive feedback when I make hey, we just closed escrow. One of the things that I would say, and I'm not giving away any of your secrets because it is one of the most talked about things, is your weekly updates.
Sure.
I hear it is always agents having to track down escrow to figure out where things are, what's needed from who, and you doing those weekly updates. How long ago did you incorporate that into your business? Where did that come from? And what value do you find in it, that as far as preventative or maintenance?
Funny story, because was my first, what I call exclusive service. It was the very first service that I created.
Okay.
And it was created out of a need to get agents to stop calling me, asking me for updates, which I didn't know any better. You know, how I was trained with the escrow officers I learned from, it was a very reactionary business.
Okay.
You know, you're just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And when I started running my own desk, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so many phone calls asking the same things. You know, the buyer's agent would call me. Does the seller have the paperwork in? The seller's agent would call me. Did the buyers turn this in? And I'm like, there has to be a better way. So that's how the weekly update was created. And it was created out of a need for me to not have as many phone calls, so I could focus on lender requests and, you know, title processing and all the other things that I have to do. But it created this was revolutionary. I think it did create like a revolution in how we processed our escrows. And it was such a benefit because the agents lost their minds. When we first started doing that, they're just like, wait, we don't have to call you anymore. And we get to see what everyone's doing. And it's consistent every week. And I know, so it's literally dramatically cut down on our calls because our clients trust in our process.
Yeah.
And it's such a win because escrow is about being transparent, and it's the ultimate transparency.
Right.
So it's been, I wouldn't even say like a double win. It's like a quadruple win. There's so many positives that have come out of that service.
Well, and on a collaborative note, as far as how our worlds work together with something like this, the reason why I have such a love and an affinity for this service that you provide is because when we open escrow and I reach out to the buyer's agent just to open, you know, the door for a third party to call. If you can't get hold of somebody, this is my cell phone number, text or call. I have yet to have anybody need to call me.
And you won't.
Yeah, and I won't. And it's funny because
But it's nice to have the option.
I'm going on a year and a half now, and I've yet for anyone to need to. But I still like to. They always like the additional extra, and that's the thing that's so funny is when we have an escrow for the first time with somebody either on the other side or I've gotten them to give us our first opportunity to work with them. It's so fun and refreshing to hear, oh my gosh, I have had to hound people. I don't get phone calls back. And it is funny because you do think to yourself, doesn't that person worry about where their next escrow is coming from? Like, I feel like we're like pop stars. You're only as good as your last performance, right?
That's true.
And, you know, the album could be great, but you gotta keep it up. So I love that. And that actually parlays into making my role more successful because, again, you got to sell a good product.
Yeah. I think the broker affiliated escrow companies, you know, they don't have to work, you know, they don't have to earn the business. It's basically handed to them. That's where a lot of the complaints come from the realtors, where they're not getting that service because guess what? They don't have to source the business. It's basically handed to them for free.
Right.
So, you know, for me, it's always been a focus on what is the client experience? You know, how are the buyers and sellers being treated? How are the realtors being treated? Are we making their lives easier and better so they can go out and earn more business? You know, whatever service or support they're getting from broker affiliated escrows is not usually worth it in the long run.
No.
But it is what it is, you know. Not my choice.
Yeah, not my choice.
We're here as an option. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Well, and what I will say is the broker escrows, we call them in-house escrows.
Yeah.
They don't invest in the additional support and I guess experience like a role with me.
Sure.
And so that's the other thing that's also been helpful is they're like, well, I mean, they're not the worst, but I mean, I definitely don't have anybody coming out and saying hi to me on the weekends or helping me work my client events or come up with ideas for what to do on social media. And I go, well, yeah, because why would they?
Well, and that's the thing. You really have to, I always try to evaluate it as what is that agent's focus, you know? So I'm focused on, and we are collectively focused on helping our agents grow and providing the ultimate experience for the buyers and sellers when, you know, that contract comes across our desk. So when it closes, everything's seamless. They've had an excellent experience. They can, access us, either one of us, or get questions answered instantly. You're not going to get that experience everywhere.
Right.
And, you know, the people who value that experience come back to us time and time again. They share their experience with realtors and brokers in the field. And, you know, and those are the kinds of clients that I like to focus on. You the people who understand who it's truly about,
Right.
buyers and sellers, and
Right.
that's where we thrive.
Right. That's very true.
Cheers to thriving.
Cheers to thriving. Now, on a separate topic, so one of the things that is most talked about in the real estate world about you that I would love to get some insight to, which is you have to be one of, if not the most. I mean, I'm personally going to say the most, but I don't follow everybody in escrow in California or the nation, but you are one of the most innovative and on top of your social media as far as consistency, real time. I thought you had a whole team that you had operating this whole.
I wish. No.
And what I tell people is he truly is the man behind the curtain. So tell us where the inspiration, the involvement of your social media efforts, and how it benefits your business and how you see value in it.
That's a great series of questions. I initially started with my social media campaigns when I was at a broker affiliated escrow company. I had a sales rep, but the sales rep was for the entire company. And we were, my team and I at that time were successful on our own. So we really didn't get a lot of personal attention or love from our sales rep. And for me, I want to continue to grow and build my business and continue to thrive and help my team thrive. So I was like, oh, I need to do something. I need to be able to put myself out there because my company didn't offer that support. My sales rep certainly wasn't around to assist me with that. So I really just started with, congratulating clients on in and closed escrows. And then it kind of grew from there as, I started to emulate what the realtors were doing on social media at the time as far as like being an educational touchstone. And I was like, well, I have information I can share. And I'm constantly approached by realtors, lenders, brokers for how to handle this circumstance or, what's the status of a cancellation once, the documents are signed? Is there an escrow process? So I started then doing an educational component to it. And through that process, I then started building out our exclusive services. And, this is a great platform to advertise what those things are and highlight what they are in a place where most of us are, scrollaxing on our phones at some point throughout the day. So it just kind of grew from there. And for me, it has become an integral part of my day-to-day. It's not an optional component. A lot of escrow officers that I've talked with about marketing and social media, they're like, I just don't have time. And for me, you have to have the time. You have to make the time to do something that's so important to the growth of your business. I'm meeting my clients where they are at on their devices, out in the social sphere. And if you're not out there and you're not making time to be out there, you're missing out.
And it's free.
It's absolutely free.
It's free. It's free.
And it's a fun place to connect with your clients, and it's not just about celebrating the wins or sharing another post about the educational side of things. It's also about connecting and being social. So I am engaged with my clients. They are engaged with me. They like to see what restaurant Carlos and I are going to, or where the family is going on vacation, and being able to connect that in a relationship business, it just gives you another outlet to connect and solidify those relationships.
Yes. Well, and I think that one of the biggest challenges I faced when social media was first introduced to the real estate world, being somebody who was one of the original Facebook member, because I had you remember the Sidekick?
Oh yeah.
It was
that thing.
Yeah, I had that, and that phone wouldn't allow MySpace, only Facebook. And it was Facebook's way to integrate themselves into the younger generation, into technology. And it was brilliant because I had to use Facebook because that was all I could use on that. And
MySpace.
And so I was one of the OGs. And when I got into real estate and that became a thing and fan pages and all that stuff, the big question was, do you have a personal page and a business page, or do you have a a combined
Joint
page.
page, yeah.
And as somebody who made the mistake of trying to do two separate ones in the beginning, I wound up just merging them all to one, because I think one of the things people love about following you and engaging with you on social media is we get to see both sides of you.
Totally.
We get to see the professional, we get to see the education, we get to see the relevant content about the industry, but then we also get to see you being a dad, you being a husband, you being all the different things that you are.
And eater of sweets, yes.
Yes, the eater of sweets, the decorator of the century.
The same goes for you too. You know, I think, like you talked about, having a merged page, sharing your life, being social in this people business, it's super important. And I got to give kudos to you too, because you actually inspired a lot of my push to be social, because you were out there doing videos in your condo.
Oh yeah.
You know, behind your laptop.
Remember that.
Early days. And I was
Yeah.
like, look at this guy. Like,
Yeah.
he's out there doing something no one else is doing.
Right.
And it really inspired me. So
Yeah.
I have to give you kudos for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was a lot of fun. And I think that the thing I find so surprising is how much clients are invested in the personal side of your story too, where I will go to open houses or networking events, and the first thing somebody will ask me about is, how's River doing? And I'm like, of course. I'm the co-host in I'm second fiddle in my own life. But what's crazy is I'll never forget, I was trying to prospect an agent that we had on the buy side of a deal, and I had been spending 6 months trying to get in front of this person. And I finally caught them at an open house, and I stalked them on Instagram first, and I saw that they had a similar breed dog that I did.
Oh, cool.
And I happened to mention it. And the next thing you know, I get home, and it's like 6 o'clock on Saturday, and the agent's sending me pictures of their dog, and we're swapping, and then we were in escrow a month later.
Yeah.
So, I think that there's a strategy behind being authentically yourself, but then there's some fun in being authentically yourself. People get a window into who you are and what matters to you.
Well, people want to know the true, real you either way, not the manufactured version
Right.
of who you portray on social media. And that's always been my challenge, is like being on social media. I'm always like, it needs to be produced. I need to be rehearsed. And, ever since coming here and having, the access to the studio and getting more comfortable behind the camera, I don't care anymore. And I think because I see a lot of people who are out there also not caring. And it's like, people want to know.
Right.
They want to see you stumble. They want to see the crunchy bits.
Right.
That's important. It's all part of the secret sauce.
It is a part of the secret sauce, because at the end of the day, you're what you're selling.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things when I did this online video series a while ago. People would be like, how do you write your scripts? And I go, there is no script. I just, and that's why I like this type of conversation, is there can be talking points, but I think you can learn a lot about somebody unscripted, talking to a business partner, a client. That's the other thing too, is I wish, and I encourage specifically realtors all the time, I go, find an opportunity to sit down and chat with your clients. Who could be your best endorser than somebody who's been a recipient of your services?
For sure.
So I think that, I'm a non-scripted, authentic myself too.
All right, James. So we're crossing our 12 months with New Venture, and I just want to ask, what is your focus point for the next 12 months together?
My focus point for the next 12 months is keeping the consistency of the things that worked last year, and then building on the things I learned will help take it to the next level.
I love it.
And keeping that consistently. Like you said, with social media, it's a way of life. It's a daily practice. I have, in a short period of time, I've learned what works and what doesn't, and I've come up with ideas, and you and I have collaborated on ideas that I think will add more to that. And so just keeping consistent and always taking a bird's eye view I would say every 30 days to see what wins, what learning experiences I had, and then just constantly fine tuning.
I love that.
What about you?
For me, well, we just kind of went through that kind of year-end reevaluation. So I'm going to be spending the next 12 months obviously continuing to work with you on what works best. We have weekly meetings, which I cherish. I think is such a key success point for our growth. So keeping with that, but I'm really going to be focused a lot on developing my team. We have the best team, and they are super excited to grow. and learn more. So we're literally going through a lot of cross training right now, developing skill sets that they want to continue to grow through. Excuse me. Yeah, and then kind of like what you just said. Every 30 days or so, just evaluate what were the wins, what were the losses, where can we grow. Staying in touch and having a pulse on what we're doing and how we're doing it. I don't need to wait until January. So
Right.
just kind of doing that a little bit more frequently, I think, is going to be a good focus point for me too.
I couldn't agree with you more. And then another question going into the new year is, what are your? I mean, we're a month in to 2026. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? What's your crystal ball as far as what you kind of see the year looking like?
Well, so many variables can play, things out differently. But the first month was crazy. I was not expecting how crazy it has been, and I've been grateful for it. But I'm kind of anticipating it continuing to be a great 2026. I mean, one of the indicators that I get is using the NetSheet exclusive service that the agents reach out to me for, and I could easily say in January we did 70 net sheets for different properties. I mean, agents are out there going on listing appointments left, right, and center. I'm following the new listing data. I mean, properties coming on the market super quick and going off the market super quick. So I see a busy year for us.
I do too.
Are you ready?
I am ready, Freddie.
Well, I just want to say this. I've had so much fun doing this.
Yeah, me too. Too many more.
Cheers to many more.
Yes.
Maybe not so long.
Yeah.
And let's kick 2026 in the ass.
Let's do it. Oh.
All right.
Are we looking at you or looking at each other?
Look at each other.
Okay.
Keep it natural.
That's not natural.
That was not natural.